The betrayal didn't come from an enemy. It came from the one person I trusted the most, my best friend. Hi, my name's Maya, and today I'm going to share a story that still gives me chills every time I think about it. Not because it was scary in the usual sense, but because it changed me completely. You see, I thought I knew what loyalty meant. I thought I had someone in my corner for life. Someone I could trust with anything. Someone who knew me better than I knew myself. But everything I believed was a lie. And the betrayal didn't come from a stranger. It didn't come from an enemy. It came from the one person I loved like family, my best friend, Jenna. We met in middle school, 7th grade to be exact. I still remember the first time I saw her. Bold, loud, full of life. The kind of person who lights up a room without even trying. I was more quiet, more reserved. But somehow, we clicked immediately. It was like the universe had decided we were meant to be friends. We were inseparable. Sleepovers every weekend. Movie marathons. Talking about boys and makeup and our dreams for the future. In high school, we became even closer. We knew each other's families, we celebrated birthdays together, and we promised, like most best friends do, that we'd be there for each other no matter what. She wasn't just my best friend. She was my sister. My ride or die. And when we both got into the same college, it felt like a dream come true. We moved into an apartment together off campus, decorated it with fairy lights and inside jokes, and created a space that felt like our own little world. At the time, I was dating a guy named Liam. He was kind, charming, and smart. We met in a campus cafe, and things clicked pretty quickly. Jenna met him within the first week, and they got along really well. Maybe a little too well. But I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? He was my boyfriend. She was my best friend. Two people I trusted completely. Everything seemed perfect on the surface. We laughed a lot, had late-night talks, cooked ramen noodles at 2 a.m. when we couldn't sleep. Jenna was always supportive of my relationship. She gave me advice when Liam and I argued. She told me I deserved someone who made me feel special. Looking back, those moments feel poison now. Because the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. It started with small things. Jenna became more secretive. She'd be on her phone late at night, smiling at messages but locking her screen the second I walked in. I'd ask her who she was talking to, and she'd laugh it off. "Oh, just a guy from my psych class," she'd say. But she never told me his name. Never introduced us. Then came the questions. Subtle at first. "Don't you think Liam's been acting a little distant lately? You ever worry he might be texting someone else?" Or, "Not to freak you out, but I heard guys like him usually get bored fast." I thought she was just being protective. Maybe she had a bad experience herself and didn't want to see me get hurt. So, I appreciated her concern, or tried to. But something about her tone didn't feel right. It wasn't just protective, it was almost personal. One night, things really started to unravel. I came home early from a study group. Jenna didn't know I'd be back for at least another hour. The lights in the apartment were dim, and I could hear her talking softly in her room. Laughing. Whispering. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. But then I heard his name. "Liam, stop," she giggled. "You're so bad." My entire body froze. At first I thought, no, that can't be what it sounds like. It must be someone else. Maybe she's watching a video. Maybe she's just joking around. But then I heard her say it again. "You really think she'll never find out?" I didn't walk into her room. I didn't scream. I didn't ask questions. I went into my room, locked the door, and sat on the floor, shaking. I don't know how long I stayed there, trying to convince myself I hadn't just heard what I knew I'd heard. When Jenna came out to the kitchen later, I confronted her. My voice was quiet, but my heart was pounding. "How long?" I asked. She froze. Her mouth opened like she wanted to lie, but then she just looked down and whispered. "Since January." It had been nearly 3 months. 3 months of secrets. Of betrayal. Of the two people I trusted most lying to my face. She tried to explain. Said it wasn't planned. That they didn't mean for it to happen. That they didn't want to hurt me. But those words meant nothing. Because they did hurt me. They destroyed me. I left that night, packed a bag, called a friend, and didn't look back. The following weeks were dark. I questioned everything: my judgment, my worth, my ability to trust. I felt like the ground beneath me had disappeared. But slowly, painfully, I began to rebuild. I leaned on the people who truly loved me. I took care of myself. I journaled. I cried when I needed to. I got therapy. And day by day, the pain turned into strength. Today, I don't talk to Jenna or Liam. I never will again. But I'm okay with that. Because the truth is, sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who hurt you the worst. And sometimes losing them is what saves you. If you've ever been betrayed by someone close, I want you to know you're not alone. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You're human. And healing is possible. Jenna and I had been best friends since middle school. We weren't just friends in the casual sense. We were the kind of best friends people write novels about. The kind where you don't remember how life felt before them, because every memory, every laugh, every heartbreak somehow includes them. It all started in 7th grade. I was the quiet, book-loving type. Jenna was loud, outgoing, and impossible to ignore. She could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with everyone's name memorized and a new inside joke. I admired her from the start. She was everything I wasn't. We got paired for a science project. I was dreading it, assuming she'd do all the talking and leave me behind. But instead, she looked me in the eye and said, "We're gonna be awesome partners." That simple sentence was the beginning of everything. From that day on, we were inseparable. We had sleepovers every weekend, the kind where we stayed up till 3 a.m. talking about our dreams, our fears, and yes, the latest drama at school. We'd laugh over dumb videos, plan our futures, and share every detail of our crushes, from what they wore to what they said during math class. We made secret handshakes, had matching bracelets, and swore to never let anyone come between us. I still remember us sitting on her bedroom floor one night, painting our nails and promising we'd be each other's bridesmaids one day, no matter where life took us. People at school used to call us soul sisters. And honestly, that's exactly how it felt. She knew my darkest thoughts, my biggest dreams, and every part of my past. I never had to pretend with her. I never had to explain myself. With Jenna, I was safe. We shared everything: snacks, secrets, even clothes. When my parents were going through a rough patch, it was Jenna who stayed up all night with me while I cried. When she failed her first major test and felt like a disappointment, I was the one who reminded her of her worth. We built each other up. At least, that's what I believed. When we both got accepted to the same college, it felt like fate. We squealed on the phone together when the letters arrived. "It's happening," she said. "We're going to crush this next chapter together." We ended up renting a small off-campus apartment. It wasn't fancy: creaky floors, mismatched furniture, and one too many power outages. But we made it ours. We strung up fairy lights in the living room, hung up goofy Polaroids on the fridge, and created a playlist we called the Roomy Vibes soundtrack. Life felt exciting, fresh, full of promise. And most of all, it felt comforting because Jenna was there. College life wasn't easy. There were stressful nights before exams, awkward roommate encounters, and more ramen noodles than I care to admit. But no matter how hard things got, we had each other. We'd sit on the balcony after long days, sipping cheap coffee and talking about everything and nothing. She helped me through my first real breakup. I helped her when her childhood dog passed away. We even made a pact that if we were still single by 30, we'd move in together again and adopt a dozen cats. She was my constant, my anchor. No matter how much the world changed, Jenna was always my safe place to land. That's what made what happened next so hard to understand. Because when you've trusted someone with every part of who you are, when they've seen you at your most vulnerable, your most raw, you don't expect them to be the one who breaks you. Looking back now, I realize how tightly I held on to our friendship, maybe too tightly, because I never thought to question it. Not even when little red flags started to appear. Like the way she began pulling away from our usual routines. She started spending more time out without telling me where she was going. Our movie nights became rare. Our deep talks turned shallow. She always had a reason: busy schedule, too tired, school stress. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? We were us. Nothing could shake that. Even when I started dating Liam, and she acted odd about it, I ignored the feeling in my gut. She never said anything directly, but her energy changed. At first, I thought she just didn't like him. Maybe she was being overprotective. I told myself, she just wants what's best for me. But it wasn't just that. It was how she looked at him when she thought I wasn't watching. How her questions about him slowly shifted from casual to invasive. Still, I brushed it off. Because loyalty was everything to us. She'd never cross a line. I would have bet everything on that. But I was wrong. So wrong. And when the truth came out, when I discovered just how deeply she had betrayed me, everything shattered. The apartment we built together felt like a crime scene. Every photo, every laugh, every inside joke suddenly felt fake. Like a play I didn't realize I was starring in. I had lost more than a friend. I had lost a part of myself, the part that believed in forever friendships. So when I say she was my safe space, I mean it. And when I say I thought she was my safe space, I mean that even more. Because not all wounds are physical. Some are invisible. Some are caused by the people who once held your hand while you cried, and then became the reason you cry at night. Everything started to feel off around the beginning of the spring semester. It's strange how you can be so close to someone, know their voice, their habits, their quirks, and still somehow miss the moment they begin to change. Or maybe you don't miss it. Maybe you just pretend not to see it because you're scared of what it might mean. At first, it was the small things. Jenna had always been talkative, almost too talkative. She was the kind of person who'd text me a picture of her coffee just to tell me it was mid. She'd send 5-minute voice notes about a guy who looked at her in class or ran about her microaggressively passive TA. I used to joke that I never needed Netflix. Jenna's daily life updates were enough drama and entertainment for anyone. But suddenly silence. Her texts became shorter, colder. Sometimes she wouldn't even respond unless I followed up. When we were together, she wasn't really present. She'd scroll through her phone with that half smile, the kind that says she's somewhere else entirely. I tried brushing it off. Maybe she was just stressed. We all get like that during exams, right? But then came the secrecy. I'd walk into the room and catch her mid-laugh, talking on the phone, and the second she saw me, she'd hang up. No explanation. Just, ugh, my mom was being annoying again, or group project stuff. You don't want to hear about it. Only she wasn't in a group project. I knew that because I was literally in her class. The most jarring moment was when I came home early from a class that got canceled, and I heard her giggling behind her bedroom door. It was low and playful, flirty, almost. And just like that, silence. Door creaked open a few minutes later, and she acted like she'd been asleep the whole time. I didn't say anything then. But I started to feel something I hadn't felt with Jenna before: distrust. Still, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she's dating someone and just hasn't told me yet, I told myself. Maybe she's being secretive because it's new, or she's nervous, or maybe it's someone from work and she doesn't want to jinx it. But if that were the case, wouldn't she be telling me? I was her person, her best friend, the one she told everything to, or at least she used to. Then came the questions. Strange ones. Not all at once. They were sprinkled into our conversations like breadcrumbs, subtle enough not to alarm me, but weird enough to plant discomfort. We'd be watching Netflix, and out of nowhere she'd say, "Do you ever wonder if Liam is actually loyal?" I blinked. What? Nothing, just guys are weird sometimes. Just saying. Another time, while we were out grabbing boba, she asked, "Don't you think he flirts a little too much with your friends?" I shrugged it off. "He's just friendly. You know how Liam is." She nodded, but I could tell she didn't believe it. And then came the kicker. "Would you ever go through his phone? Like, just to be sure he's not hiding something?" That one really stuck with me. I remember laughing nervously. "What? No. I mean, I trust him. We've been together for 2 years. But even as I said the words, I felt them waver. Because Jenna wasn't just throwing these questions out randomly. They were specific. And she kept circling back to Liam, his habits, his messages, his tone, his late replies. It wasn't concern. It felt like she was planting doubt in me. Like she was intentionally trying to make me suspicious. But why would she do that? Was it jealousy? Was she trying to break us up because she didn't like him? Or was there something deeper? I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it. This was Jenna, my best friend, my sister, the one who hugged me when I had my first panic attack and stayed up all night to help me finish a paper I procrastinated on for weeks. The one who promised to be my maid of honor one day. Why would she be saying things to make me doubt the one good relationship I had? But the more I thought about it, the more those questions lingered in my mind, like echoes bouncing around a hollow room, getting louder every time I tried to ignore them. And the weirdest part? It wasn't just her words, it was her eyes. Whenever she asked those questions, she wouldn't look me in the eye. She'd fidget, pick at her nails, glance at her phone, as if she was guilty of something or afraid I'd figure something out. And still, I convinced myself that it was all in my head. You're just overthinking, I told myself. You're being paranoid. She's your best friend. You're just tired, stressed. But deep down, something didn't feel right. There was this constant buzzing in my chest, a mix of anxiety, suspicion, and dread. It's funny how your body sometimes knows the truth before your mind can catch up. That gut feeling, that tightness in your throat when something's off, even if you can't explain why. Still, I said nothing. I didn't confront her. I didn't push for answers. Because part of me didn't want to know. Part of me was scared of what I might find. Because if Jenna was hiding something real, then it meant our friendship wasn't what I thought it was. And if Liam was involved, it meant I was living in a lie. And so, I stayed silent, smiling through the unease, trying to be the cool girlfriend, the trusting best friend, the one who didn't jump to conclusions. But the truth? The truth was already unraveling around me. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a rainy Friday, the kind where the sky feels heavy, the streets are quiet, and everything seems slower, moodier. I remember thinking how peaceful it was outside. I had no idea that peace was about to be ripped away from me. I worked part-time at a little Italian restaurant not far from campus. That night, we closed early due to a water pipe leak. Nothing major, just enough to send everyone home a few hours earlier than expected. I didn't text anyone. Not Jenna. Not Liam. I figured I'd surprise her. Maybe order our favorite pizza and have one of those lazy nights we hadn't had in weeks. Looking back, I wonder what would have happened if I had just stayed at work. If I had walked slower. If I had knocked first. But that's the thing with the truth. It doesn't care about your timing. It shows up when it wants. I walked through our apartment door, expecting to see Jenna on the couch with a face mask on, maybe scrolling TikTok or watching reruns of Friends. But instead, the place was eerily quiet. Too quiet. The living room lights were off. Only the faint glow of Jenna's bedroom light spilled out into the hallway. And then I heard it. Her voice. Soft. Playful. Laughing. Coming from her room. I paused just outside her door. It was cracked open just enough. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I wasn't trying to spy. But something in her voice caught me off guard, a tone I hadn't heard before. Flirty. Sweet. Delicate. No, Liam, you're bad. Stop. She's going to find out. I froze. Liam. She said his name. Liam. My boyfriend. The name hit me like a slap across the face. My brain went into denial mode immediately. Maybe it was another Liam? Maybe they were planning a surprise for me? Maybe she was just messing around? But my gut knew better. That instinct deep inside you that doesn't need evidence, doesn't need logic, it just knows. I stood there, my heart thudding so loud I could barely hear anything else. And then I heard his voice. Muffled, but definitely him. I knew it like I knew the sound of my own name. He was laughing. Teasing. Saying something I couldn't fully make out. But I didn't need to. because the betrayal was loud enough without the words. I backed away slowly into the living room and pulled out my phone. Hand shaking, I pressed record. Not because I wanted to, but because a part of me needed proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that I wasn't imagining it. Proof that the two people I trusted the most were doing the one thing I never thought they'd be capable of. The recording only lasted about 30 seconds. But that was enough. Enough to confirm everything. And then the door opened. Jenna stepped out with her phone still in her hand, her face glowing from the light. But when she saw me standing there, soaked from the rain, eyes red, breath caught in my throat, her entire expression changed. Her smile died instantly. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. Her eyes widened in horror. Her mouth opened slightly, as if she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Her, frozen in guilt. Me, frozen in heartbreak. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just asked one question. Barely a whisper. But it carried all the weight in the world. How long? It hung there in the air. Heavy. Awful. Final. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her fingers tightened around her phone. And finally, she said it. Since January. Her voice cracked when she said it, like even she couldn't believe the words coming out of her own mouth. I blinked. January. That was 3 months ago. 3 months of lies. 3 months of her sitting across from me at dinner, smiling while I gushed about Liam. 3 months of fake advice, fake concern, fake friendship. 3 months of pretending. I felt like the room was spinning, like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I wanted to scream, to cry, to disappear. But I just stood there. Still. Cold. Broken. She tried to explain. Of course she did. They didn't mean to. It just happened. It wasn't planned. He made the first move. None of it mattered. She had crossed the line. Not just once, but over and over again. Every time she answered his text. Every time she snuck around. Every time she lied to my face with that sweet, innocent smile. That night, I didn't pack much. Just a backpack and a few clothes. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. Some betrayals are so loud they don't require noise. They speak for themselves. I left without looking back. The worst part wasn't losing Liam. It wasn't even the cheating. It was losing Jenna. Because while romantic love can be messy, confusing, and unpredictable, friendship is supposed to be sacred, safe, honest. And she shattered that. She didn't just break my heart. She broke my sense of trust, my ability to believe in people. For weeks afterward, I kept asking myself, why? Why would she do this? Did she ever care about me? Was everything fake? I don't know if I'll ever get those answers. But I do know this, that night changed me. It broke me open. But it also forced me to rebuild. Wiser. Stronger. Sharper. And if you're listening to this and you've been betrayed by someone you never expected, I want you to know you are not alone. And you will come back from it. Maybe not the same, but stronger.